Thank you for having this interview with me. If you don't mind, could you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, my name is Julia Haley. I'm a fourth year public policy student at Georgia Tech, and I'm currently serving as the undergraduate student body vice president.
All right, so as the student vice president of SGA, what are your main responsibilities? What do you do?
So a lot of my job involves assisting the president with her duties. We do a lot of interacting with administration, so having meetings, as well as overseeing our cabinet. So we have a cabinet of 13 people, and so it's both of our roles to make sure that everyone's on track and accomplishing their goals within their positions. We're also able to meet with different student organizations on campus, other student leaders, as well as interacting with like external groups. So if anyone wants to meet a student from Georgia Tech, oftentimes they'll meet with one of us to hear more about what's going on at Tech.
Okay, and you said you work with other student organizations. What are those other student organizations?
So there are a lot. We have over 600 registered student organizations at Tech. So whether they're coming to meet with our JVP of Finance for finance-related things, sometimes me or Shivani, the president, will be on those meetings. And then we also have more formal interactions with groups like we have something called the Student Center Programs Council. They plan a lot of our big events. So we'll meet with them like on a more regular basis. Really anyone that needs assistance from SGA, or we want to know how we can better partner with them.
Okay, and as the vice president, how rigorous is your schedule, solely on this, and, how difficult is it for you?
I think it varies a lot. I would definitely say it's a little bit less time intensive than the president's role, but still definitely want to be available during the day to have meetings with students or any administration on campus. And so it's definitely a big responsibility, but it's one that I really enjoy. And it's able to be pretty tailored to, if I have a really busy week with school, usually I can take a step back from SGA and pick up with that in the next week.
And you said it was like time intensive, so how much time are you spending per week, just doing vice president?
I would say on an average week, maybe like 20 hours.
20 hours
a
old.
week, yeah.
Okay.
So it's a pretty big, yeah. Not every week, but for the most part, yeah. We also have a lot of like longer standing meetings. So every Monday and Tuesday evening, we're in meetings for like 2 or 3 hours.
Okay, and what's the main reason that made you decide, I want to be the vice president of SGA? What was your motivation?
Yeah, so I was really involved with community relations and then government relations through SGA at Tech. So that's how I got involved starting my freshman year, and then kind of moved up in position. And last year, I was the vice president of external affairs within undergrad SGA, and I didn't want to end being part of student government. And so when Shivani asked me to run with her, I was really excited to do that.
And what's your favorite part about being vice president? I know there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
So try to choose one.
I think the coolest part is just really being able to understand everything that's going on campus. I think a lot of times students don't fully appreciate how many members of staff and faculty are really here to make students have a really great experience. I think sometimes students get kind of lost in like the day-to-day school, social life, things like that. And so I feel like I've gotten a really great opportunity to understand how many resources there are on campus. And hopefully I've played a little bit of a role in helping other students better access those resources.
Okay. And what's like the least enjoyable part? Like, is it the time consumption, or what is it?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, like I was saying, I really enjoy, like I am doing this because I enjoy it, so the time commitment's not that big of a deal. I would say sometimes it's not fun to have to either make decisions or just hear about things that might be benefiting one student or one student group on campus but harming another. So I think that's kind of a difficult part, just understanding that not all resources are able to serve everyone equally, and kind of trying to find that balance with making sure that everyone feels like they have access to the resources on campus in an equal way.
So what's one of the biggest projects that you've worked on while being a part of this organization?
Yeah, one big one that I'm working on right now that's kind of more of an independent project is making this room reservation guide. So I mentioned that we have like hundreds and hundreds of organizations and only so much space on campus. So one thing I want to do before my term ends is finish up this guide that's letting students know like more about the policies of different rooms, and hopefully using that in future years to advocate for spaces becoming more available for student organizations. But as EVP, a lot of what I do is more of like assisting other members of the cabinet on their projects. And so whether that's like going back to external affairs, getting to have a role in that has been really fun again. Helping with some of our like infrastructure and sustainability initiatives. That's been a really cool part of the role.
And you said you assist other members of the cabinet. Who are you assisting the most? Is it the president or?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the biggest role of EVP is assisting the president. She has a really packed schedule and can't be everywhere at once. So, but I would say a cool part of having a little bit more flexibility as vice president is that any cabinet member that maybe needs like a helping hand or wants to be better connected with administration, I can help them with that.
Well, you being vice president, I'm more than sure you have your own definition of success. How should somebody achieve it, and what is that definition?
Yeah, I think like the two aspects of success that most resonate with me are having something that you enjoy doing and are passionate about, and then having something that's giving back, specifically in this role to the next generation of students. I think like going back to what I was saying earlier, that's like a big thing I've realized is how many, not only students, but also other members of the Georgia Tech community have given into Georgia Tech to make sure that my experience right now is really great. And so I want to play a little role of helping make sure that future group of students is well served at Tech, but also having something that I'm passionate about. I think when I'm looking for jobs and other opportunities, that's my biggest driver. So I'd say like personal passion and enjoyment, as well as giving back to future generations.
All right, and you were like talking about passion. What's your personal passion outside of SGA? Like, what type of career are you seeing yourself in?
Yeah, so I'm a public policy major, so really want to go into government. Hoping to be in DC in the next 6 months or something. So we'll see. I'm keeping it open, but very passionate about policy.
All right. So what type of work do you guys exactly do in public policy? So like when you get in the classroom and you finally get into the major, what exactly are you guys doing?
That's a good question. Public policy at Tech is pretty niche. We're a very small major. We're like a predominantly STEM school. So I would say our policy degree is pretty, like we cover a lot of things. So a lot of it is pretty research focused. So a lot of our classes are focusing on like how to conduct social research, policy, stuff like that. But then we also have other aspects like more of the political and like understanding government side. And then we have different clusters. So like right now I'm in a health policy class, which has been really cool to learn about health policy, not only on like the policy side, but also like on an individual side for learning about like health insurance and stuff like that, which is very helpful for going into the real world pretty soon. So I really like the public policy degree. I think I've gotten to really kind of dip into a lot of different areas that will help me figure out what I want to do in the future.
Okay, and anybody else that wants to become vice president or president of SGA, what's one piece of advice that you can give to them?
I would definitely say get involved early and get involved with what you're passionate about. So I was a committee chair or a committee member, then a committee chair, then a VP. Shivani, the president, got involved through our freshman leadership organization called SGA. And we were both able to kind of reach this spot. So I think there's a lot of like entry points into SGA, and so getting involved with somewhere that you're passionate about and are going to stick with it, that's a good way to get involved. And then also in terms of having a successful campaign, definitely meeting a lot of people. We're both plugged into a lot of different other areas on campus outside of SGA, so that has been really helpful for not only having a successful campaign, but also feeling like we had a good sense of what different student groups on campus needed and wanted from student government.
All right, and then speaking to anybody that's in school, what's one quote that you live by, and what does it mean to you?
Gosh, it's a long quote, so I don't know exactly. But basically, the gist of it is kind of going back to what I was saying about success. It says something about how, like, let me try. Previous generations for hundreds of years have been kind of building up to the point that we're at right now. And there's obviously no way to repay the past generations. So the only way that we can kind of repay the sacrifices of people in the past is to build up the future. I can send you the full quote later. But I think that's something that I try to live by every day. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was great. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to have this interview
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much. It was nice to meet you.
All right.